G'day, citizens. Welcome to the Inforunners. I'm Execute. This is Astropub, or Paul. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. How are you?
Exhausted.
Are you surviving so far?
No, I'm
still.
Can't you tell?
It's day 3.
Yeah,
you've still got a week to go.
My sleep just keeps going off kilter on those empty days. I think it's made it worse. I'd rather just get the 7 days and get it done and move on. But yeah, so we've got a few to go through today. So first cab up the rank is what is it? Crusader. So here we go. So let's just get straight into it.
My fancy Origin or my fancy Genesis hat on for this one. So
it is fair. Are you gonna have a different hat for every manufacturer? I'm gonna have to really up my game if that's how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. So this me and Loken went really through this quite detailed. So this probably will take a little while. So yeah, just put because it's got so many manufacturers in one. So yeah. A1 Spirit. Do you want to put the 3 spirits together? It probably can't though, because it looks like they've already. Oh no, it won't be all the spirits. It'll just be the A1 because it's combat. Yeah, I keep forgetting this. Yeah. So yeah,
I will look at it real quickly because I actually have the list up there so I can do my lore stuff. But it's it's just the spirit. They actually will have the C1 spirit on the floor as well.
Yep.
So, but it's like the A1, the C1, and then the Ares. So
well, C1's where it's at for me. I think it's the variant of this that I like the most because it's more generalist.
Yep.
But yeah,
I will say the A1 is a good vehicle, but I feel like if you get the A1, know that there will be a better bomber in its size range. That'll be a dedicated bomber that'll blow this out of the water in 3 years.
Yeah.
Like if you're getting this for use now in game, but it will 100% be replaced by a military like an Anvil or an Aegis bomber in the similar vein, and it'll also end up being cheaper.
It's that price,
and this will go up $300.
It's that price.
It's $200.
It's insane. It's way too expensive.
Yeah,
considering the base variant of the 125 for the Spirit. Like that's $75 for bombs.
It is 100. It's 100% hype juice. That's like there's CIG will do this every so often. It's like they price ships for the hype. And the A1 is one of those. The A2 is another. The Carrack is another. Like they're basing it. The price is based off of the utility. So it's the same thing, like $750 for the A2. That is not worth it.
That's a Polaris right there. That's insane. You cannot take
a Polaris is going to go up too, but
you cannot take a Hercules and put it anywhere near a Polaris. It's ridiculous.
No. And it's worse as a gunship than even a Steel. The Steel is a better gunship than the A2 is.
Yep.
And the Steel is a joke.
Well, the problem with the A2 is it's as powerful as a Hammerhead's guns, essentially, right? But they're all downwards facing. They all face in one direction. So they're like, but you can tell that that's what the gameplay they want. They want this thing to be like lumbering along to bomb a base, and basically they want other people to defend it for it to get there, right? And so it's just raining everything down below it, but you need its weaknesses, fighters coming from above, and so it needs to be defended until it gets into again World War II in space. They want it to be defended by the fighters until it gets in there.
But is that worth $750? And I think no. The answer is absolutely no.
You're going to get way more use out of a Polaris at $750 than you are ever going to get out of this thing. This doesn't have the medical. It just doesn't have the facilities of a capital ship. It's insane. Nope. This was hype. And no.
Jumptown. It's Jumptown. That's why this is $750.
Yep. Same price as a bloody Corsair for crying out loud.
Yeah. It's gotten better.
Yeah.
The last patch they've improved it and they're getting it in there, but it's you're paying for specialization.
Yeah.
So like the Ares Inferno which is I think the better one than the other one than it's not the Pulse. It's the Ares
Ion.
Ion, yeah. Inferno is where it's really at. But
really, I think down the line, it's that they both do completely separate jobs. This to me feels like a capital armor stripper. So this goes in really close and removes the armor, where the Ion's going to sit back and fire those charged shots and snipe. But the difference is that even the Ares Inferno can also be used as ground attack, whereas the Ions doesn't have the DPS for ground attack. So it's like the Inferno is a much more flexible ship for what you want it to do. It can do a lot of damage to ships, but it can also do a lot of damage to tanks or to ground forces. And with things like
Maelstrom coming out, that's going to be its purpose is to shoot things that are on the ground or in space, whereas the Ion just doesn't have the DPS to do the ground attacks as well.
I think eventually when stationary targets come in, that's where the Ion will be better for stationary, and this is better at the moving targets. So yeah, I think they'll both have that. Yeah. Again, we'll have to wait and see. Like, there's just so many things up in the air.
But when it comes to the price, though, it's like it's not worth the price, because if you wanted something that can do ground targets, the Corsair has a lot more just volume of fire in comparison.
Yep.
It's what, 4 size 4s plus 2 size 5s.
4 size 5s. It's essentially the Redeemer on a single person, essentially.
Yeah.
I'm just noticing the complete juxtaposition between today and yesterday, because yesterday had a lot of medical stuff, so we're like, yeah, that's okay, and then today it's all combat. I'm like, bad buy, like it's so again, if it was normal, if that was a normal C2, we wouldn't be having this conversation, but that being an A2, it totally changes it. So
and I do want to emphasize that, like, both of these ships are great buys in game. I have seen people use them very effectively. If it is your style, go for it. But the reason why we say something like this is not a buy is mostly because you don't get enough utility from these vehicles to make it worthwhile, because you're either not doing something that's super good. It's not like super good at what it does so much that barely anything touches it. And it's not enough flexibility for it to be usable for multiple things. Like, this is a capital ship killer. That's what you're going to use this for.
It's also the real world. You're paying real world dollars for this, right? If you're buying it in game, no problem, right? You buy whatever you want, because that currency is just, it's an in-game currency. But when you're paying $250 for this, or you can use that $250 somewhere else, it goes so much further on, like we said, the Corsair, so that's what we're getting. And I probably should have clarified that at the start.
But I always like to talk about that, because I think a lot of people end up being like, well, why are you talking about this? It's like, we're just talking about, like, getting the bang for your buck sort of situation. So
actually do have the C2 Hercules in here as well. Interesting. Okay,
the C1 and the C2 are both on the floor too. So
see, I can totally get behind the C1 Spirit. Absolutely. Really great little ship. Come in, like, what they call it, the Cutlass Killer type of thing as it came in. I don't think it kills it. I think it just kind of gives you another option. You're essentially shifting to get speed over combat effectiveness, so to speak. With the Spirit.
The C1 is speed and aerodynamics. Like, the C1 is what you'll use for long distance. You can use like a freelancer, but the freelancer doesn't have as much. And I think it has. I think the freelancer max has more carry capacity, but not by much. They're all pretty comparable with each other, but the freelancer is like, if you just want to haul things, you use a freelancer. If you just want to do combat and you want this thing, you get the Vanguard. But if you want to do a little bit more flexibility, you get the Cutlass. And if you want speed and aerodynamics, then with your hauling, then the C1. So
I'm just going to look it up again, because I don't want to get this incorrect, but there is a big difference actually between this and the Max, right? Because the Max and the Clipper, the Max and the Clipper, so they're 64. The Freelancer Max is like 120, and the Clipper is 128. They literally double. And this is how we knew when the Zeus's came out, there was no base variant, because the Clipper just goes to this insane level of thing. I think the other negative to this, over say something like the Cutlass, is it's obviously clearly a larger attack profile. It's the largest of the medium ships.
It pancakes so hard.
And it can be had to land because of the way it's like a pancake.
And just for the context, if you're really looking for like a ship, like a ship this size that you want to purchase for specifically hauling, the Freelancer Max is $150. So it's only $25 more for twice the amount of cargo. So it's like pure cargo is not really the thing, and the Clipper is slightly more. Is Clipper's like $200?
No, the Clipper's like one. So, I think it was. It's like one. My brain's saying 155 or something like that. So it's not that much more again either. I'd have to look it up again.
Yeah,
it's been a hot minute. There's too many ships now to retain all these numbers. Right. As Paul would attest, like, you could have me, Agrid, and Paul in a room, and you'd probably have more collective knowledge than most people combined, and we still struggle. It's got to that point now.
Yeah, we'll still make mistakes and not know things. So
me and Agrid, it just got too complicated. And I think you've done the same. We've switched from being correct all the trying to be as correct as possible to just getting to the correct information if we're wrong, because it's just too much to retain.
Yeah. We may not know the answer on top of our heads, but we know where to find the answers compared to a lot of people, and that's a skill for Star Citizen. Knowing where to find the information is hard.
Is that me, or is that going up in price?
I don't think it has.
I swear it was 380, but maybe it
may have. It may have gone 380 war bond was its original price.
Yep.
So
$400. That is the price of a reclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle with that for a cargo ship.
I will still defend the C2 because the C2 is still the best ship for hauling a combination of cargo and vehicles.
Agreed.
So
I'll give you that. It's
and
definitely got
really no
place, you know.
Yeah, and I think the Liberator is more expensive than it. So, and even though the Liberator is better at hauling vehicles. Let me look it up real quick.
Liberator's was it 550 is what's coming into my head. Man, I'm getting terrible with the prices today. I need to do.
The original is 575.
Yeah.
It was 500 war bond, 575. So it's still $100 more expensive, and you get not that much difference.
You get two extra. You get a snub and 2 ships that you can take as well, in addition to everything that this does.
And a 400 SCU versus the C2, which is
575. 576 or something like that. Yeah. I can't find it right off the top of my head. 696 cargo. So it's 690. So it's like almost double the cargo in the C2 compared to the Liberator. So like the Liberator is good, but it has its place versus the C2, which I still think has its place, and I think it's all right for the price. But I think it's on the edge. It's like a very niche thing with some flexibility, which makes it better than, say, the A2, which is a ridiculous price, and the M2, which I don't think is worth it. Yeah. All right. So they have put some of them up. I'm just checking some ship prices here at the moment in the background. Yeah, they have jumped quite a bit, actually. That's interesting. So this has gone up as well, the M2 as well. I'm going to be honest with you. I almost think the M2 is where it's at when it comes to the Hercules series because
of armor.
Well, yeah, because of the armor, because you're transporting those vehicles, and they wanted to, kind of put them into combat, but it's not so far to the other side. It's like the A2, where it's just ridiculous price for what it does. And so if you're just doing cargo, C2 awesome, right? But if you want to do the cargo and the combat, that's where it's at. But again, it's another $120 again. I think unfortunately the Hercules hype really escalated the price on these ships quite a lot, and I think you can just get better ships for value. Unfortunately, they've priced themselves out. Unfortunately, and I think I keep looking back at the Caterpillar, right? And I know I've brought this up to you quite a few times, but there's so much functionality in that we just haven't seen yet. And I could be completely wrong once all the modules land and all that. But the fact that it's 330 versus like the 400, I know, and it started out even cheaper than that, I know, but like not knowing what's coming is a part of the gamble, I guess. But I just, especially with the tractor beams, like the tractor beams just makes it quicker to load, in my opinion, especially with all those doors. This obviously has the ability for the vehicles. That's its thing. You just got to remember it's got the vehicles, I think. But yeah. All right, the Mercury. I can get behind this one, as I think you can too, for the value.
I think it's good, and I think 260 is great. I still think that as time goes on, those still that still on stilts thing is a problem. It is in desperate need of a rework.
Yep.
Being the first Crusader ship, and the like people demanding more exits and entrances. I think if they went back and took another swipe at the Starrunner, it would be better. It's good. And I think that price 260 is comparable to something like the Constellation. You want to say? So
Connie's 240, Corsair's 250. So
yeah. So it's like around that range. And again, what you're getting is speed over those two types of ships. Not really combat capability, but it's speed. And eventually smuggling, but we still don't have that mechanic yet. So it's hard to like judge it on its merits alone. But
So what really kind of happened is now we've kind of had the period of time to kind of look at how this thing started and grew out. This is essentially was the C1, right?
Yeah.
And it just it was a medium ship. You can go back and look at, and there are images that show it beside the Hercules and stuff like that, and it is significantly grown in size. This thing, you used to put it, and Agrid showed it to me, and it was the thing that blew my mind. Agrid discovered this, was we look at older ones where you'd put it next to the Connie and it would literally like sit inside the Connie, and then it came out and the Connie would sit inside it. So this thing grew so much that it went from a medium to a large. And I think a lot of that is the stilts thing you mentioned. They also made the door bigger to fit a rover and stuff like that. The lack of doors, the lack of windows. It was meant to have like my biggest gripe with it is that, and it's going to sound so stupid, was it was meant to have a sunroof in that chest room area, you know, like the Millennium Falcon thing. And just the complete lack of windows in this thing is just really weird to me. It's very stark, and obviously all the tunnels that come with Crusader. That said, and I think the last thing I mentioned is the components in the back room, all in one spot, just inside the entrance, is really weird. But yeah, the stilts is a massive issue, but it would make the ship even bigger again if you move them all around. But that vent gameplay and the hiding in the vents, it just does not sound fun to me.
No, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
And to permanently put in a ship for a gameplay that you'll only use such a small subset at a time, just doesn't make sense to me.
No, I think they could have used those areas effectively and more effectively, and change things around a little bit so that you have more cargo space. So like if you took that area out, instead of making it two levels, put it down to one level, and then just make an elevator that goes up to the cockpit and that kind of thing, and then increase the amount of cargo space, would have been a lot better. But
yeah, I would have done it with like hidden doors in walls and stuff like that. I wouldn't have done it as vents. I would have and I think that's the elevator in the back room needs to be stairs instead of this 1 foot little elevator that's just weird.
Yeah, it's a weird that you can literally mantle. It's so weird.
Yeah. So yeah, it is aging not the best, but again, you look at it as a value proposition. It is more cargo than both the Corsair now and the Constellation, and you get to take data. So it's that's really where this thing's going to shine, is the data.
And it's got range.
Yeah,
it's got range. It's going to be like, if you want to get across the system pretty quickly, so you want to get across Pyro fast, Mercury. You slap even the biggest jump quantum drive on that thing, and you will sip fuel as you're jumping through those areas. You won't even use half of the tank.
It kind of surprises me, the one that's the data runner. You think it would be giving up cargo, but it's actually got more cargo than the other two. I just find that so weird. And it's the runner, so it's faster. So not only does it have more cargo, but it's faster. It just makes it way better at cargo than the other two. So again, you are giving up the guns, but you've got the things to run away from them. So
you don't need guns when you can literally outrun everything that comes at you.
You are heavily leaning into the cargo data running thing with this one, and giving up the gunship.
It's a blockade runner, is what it is.
Absolutely. So I know we talked about this one for a while, but it's got some problems. And we're back around again. All right, so we are back off to Tumbril.
Yay, my baby.
I think I can safely say, though, none of these I'm going to recommend because they're all vehicles.
Nope, they're all vehicles.
But I am looking forward to the Ranger, so I'll let you kick us off. Why would I buy the Ranger over the Pulse?
The Ranger is a ground vehicle, so it's going to have less of a it's touching with wheels, so it's going to have less of an EM signature compared to the hover vehicles. It's going to have the same sort of profile in terms of it being small, but you also have more guns, I think, in general. So like with some of these, or speed, it's comparable to the Pulse, but you're going to be a lot less lower profile in general. What you give up with is the ability to traverse over rough terrain a little bit easier.
I'm disappointed, Paul. The advantage is clearly you're able to physically skid. You can't skid in a Pulse because it's not touching the ground.
You can also what is it called? Akira skid. You can Akira skid. So that's the advantage. It's literally the Akira motorcycle, and CIG knew what they were doing when they made it. So
I am very interested in it just because it's almost like our time in the future, where a lot of the hover bikes at the moment there's a bit of a disconnect. It just seems a bit too easy because there's no, you know, there's just no physicality, no touch. Right. The Storm.
Ooh.
And I will, and I will again reiterate, I would not recommend buying any of these unless you get, like, you're really into them. From a value proposition, they're all terrible. Right.
No.
I honestly thought this is where the Storm would be at, and I'm kind of surprised. It's got to be obviously the next one, so we can actually put these two together. The Storm AA is the one that I really enjoyed when it actually came out, and I thought this sounded so stupid, but yeah, when it came out. But again, look at the price difference. Like,
yeah,
you know,
it's better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just better. The problem I have with the Storm is that it's designed specifically as a means of rule of cool.
Yep.
And it's similar to like the Redeemer, where like the Redeemer was designed as rule of cool, and there's a lot of problems with its design. Yep. The Storm's problems is it's, from the lore perspective, it makes no sense. From a game, from like a practical perspective, it makes no sense. From a gameplay perspective, it makes no sense. There is just no reason to buy the Storm over anything else other than price, and you shouldn't be buying it anyways because it's $90 here. I don't know if it's in game yet for purchasing, but it's probably going to be cheaper, slightly cheaper than the Nova Tank, and the Nova Tank is like, I think like maybe 1 million credits in game.
They made it a medium tank that takes up a large slot, and that's the problem. It needed to be a medium that sat in the same space as an Ursa, right? Rule of cool though, like when the way they described this was a backline thing that took out the artillery, and being the Storm, I was like, wouldn't that be really cool if this has some kind of like arcing lightning type of gun that disables things, right? And to me, that sounded really cool. And then it comes out and it's just another gun. It's just that it's bespoke, so they can essentially data drive balance it the way they want. But it's just it's lame. It's almost on par with the Spartan because the gun is a bit more powerful. But why would I take this overtaking the Spartan when it takes up the same amount of slot and the Atlas platform gives you some other benefit? Like it gives you that thing at the back that does that. I just, yes, it is a little bit faster, but again, the speed it goes at, I could almost take an Ursa. So it's the
Centurion. All the Centurion requires is one extra person. You have more firepower because the Centurion's like 4 size 4s, and this is 1 size 4, right? Like a bespoke size 4.
And you go down slightly when you go to the Ursa, but then you get all that extra versatility. And now the nurse is there. You've got even more utility. So it's just really weird. And I would go back and I'd just change the gun on it. I'd either make it so you can put a gun on it, or they make the bespoke gun really cool. Like I said, like an art. Because again, if that went in, can you imagine how cool that would look going into a mortar firing barrage, and it's just a chain lightning gun. It only has to be short range, right? But it just arcs on all this shit, and it's like, oh, there goes the Storm. You know, like it'd be mad, and you kind of got to stealth in because you got to get close to be able to do it. But once you get in there, high damage and highly disableable of whatever it's shooting, right? And then you just do this run right through the back line and just shoot everything, and it can fire like a charge for like 20 seconds, and then it's got to recharge, right?
It needs help. The answer is it needs help. And I looked it up just now. The Tumbril Nova is less than 1 million credits. It's 961,482 credits in Lorville, and that's probably going to go up. But I can't imagine the Storm being, because like the Nova is like $110 in game. It is, or like a reality. So it can't be. It's gonna be slightly cheaper than the Nova. Why would I spend any money on this? This is cool. I like the AA because the AA can also be in a pinch, and I think in the future this is going to be your rocket artillery. And once you're able to reload it, the problem is you can't reload it right now. Once you're able to reload it, it will become devastating.
And just to show
for perfect
how bad value vehicles are, $10 more, you're out of colors. Like, it's insane. Like, it's literally insanity at this point. Cyclone AA, even worse value proposition because it only shoots in the air.
$80. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, you could use it as artillery even now, but it's like, why? You can buy it in game because like these are literally 500,000 UEC. So like, there's no reason to.
This is the funny thing. Cyclone MT comes out and kills all the other variants. The only one that survived, because it kills the default variant, it kills the other one that's not here is
the TR.
The TR, but it also kills the normal Cyclone, which is not here for some reason. I find that really strange. The only one that I think that is worth it at all is the RN because of the reconnaissance and stuff. This will have a place at finding targets and so mortars can shoot them and stuff like that. So this is where the Cyclone is at for me.
Yeah. Also for the RNs, also the ability for like finding nodes for mining, and also like base building locations. That's what it's designed for.
Especially in places where vehicles can't go. You know, like if you've taken an Ursa out recently trying to drive that thing over a dense wooden forest, can't do it. Yeah. There is room for a more reconnaissance style bike, by the way, like an Argo reconnaissance vehicle or something like that. You know, to help finding stuff. I'm hoping we get something like that down the road.
Yeah.
But yeah. So yeah, the default. Why would you buy the TR when you can get the TR with missiles? And why would you buy the missiles when you can get the missiles and the gun? That's our point there, right? But again, don't buy vehicles because they're really overpriced. The Nova, Paul. This is our last one.
120.
That's crazy.
I like it. I love the Nova. I love the design style for it. The inspirations are from a lot of Nordic light tanks and APCs that exist today. And I love the lore behind it, but it is not worth $120.
Yeah, so I'll just do this and let you guys make up your own mind, okay? Like it's kind of crazy. And you know, $10 less as a Cutlass as well. It's just lunacy. These vehicle prices, I know they're raising money to make a game. Got that, right? But if you're buying these vehicles, that's what you're doing. Don't look at it as in you're buying a vehicle. Look at it as you're investing in the game, because this is insane.
I will also caveat, I own a Ranger and I own a Nova.
Yeah.
Like I purchased actual cash with these. But that's because I thought they were cool.
Yeah.
And that is completely on you. What we're talking about is value for your cash. Is just, it's not worth the value if you're trying to get the most out of your money for the game.
We're being their conscience on their shoulder going,
don't. It looks cool, but don't, unless you have a lot of spending cash. So.
Right, the Fury. This is fortunately the same thing again. It's a snub. You can get an Aurora, a functional ship with a quantum drive for $10 less. Like, and it comes with a game.
LN.
And it comes with a game package. You know.
Yeah. The LN is like $65. It's $10 more, and it has the same gun loadout. So and missiles. So
I think we can probably throw all three. There is 3 variants, but I don't think the racing one will be here. The LX won't be here. The missile one's even more lackluster because it's just missiles. So you fire a couple of missiles and you're done. I don't think you really need to add to that, Paul, unless you want to. But I think that's it.
No, they're neat. Yeah. They're cool, but you are buying them for rule of cool.
Yep. Pulse, it's the fancy new LTI tokens, so I can totally get behind people buying it to add LTI to anything they're doing. So yeah, go absolutely nuts if you want to get LTI.
$30 is great for a price for it too. I thought it was going to be more money, but it's great that it's $30.
Oh, so. It's 25 if you buy a war bond. That's the weird thing. It was 25 the other day, but yeah, now it's 30. So yeah.
If you click the view options, one of the options will be the war bond. So.
The only Razor I can actually get behind, the reconnaissance vehicle. The other variants I just can't really get behind. This thing will definitely have its place as a scouting vehicle, but buy it in game. At $155, you're getting a single seat ship. You can get a Prospector for $150, right? And that is a single seat ship that you can actually do some utility. There's nothing you can do in game with this right now, other than race.
No, it's race.
It's not made for racing. It's made for reconnaissance. And the other 2 races, again, if racing's your thing, go absolute bananas. But I'd be having an exit strategy personally, because the racing ships, much like combat ships, are overpriced. Anything you can do in the game right now, instantly overpriced. Unfortunately,
CIG knows that they do. They know that, so that's why they're doing it. You know?
Yep, that's it. Right, where are we up to now? MISC, the last one, the Misery.
Yes,
that's my nickname for this thing, the Misery, because
I love it.
Yeah, it is a real sleeper ship. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yes.
I think we're starting to see a few more. Like, believe it or not, I compare the closest thing to this that I compare is actually the Strike and the new Firebird. That's coming.
The new Firebird. Yeah.
Because but this kills both of them because it's a multi-crew version of them, and it's got so many more missiles. And
you can solo it a lot easier. Like it's one of those ships like the Cutlass and the Spirit and the Vanguard, where playing it solo is entirely viable, and you can get almost everything you need out of it. But if you want to be more efficient, you just add 1 or 2 more people, and suddenly that ship becomes incredibly good. but it's completely soloable. And I use the MISC all the time for my personal transports because it comes standard with a cross field, which is a fantastic jump drive. It has plenty of cargo space for what it is. You have a lot of teeth with those missiles, and those missiles are pretty devastating. And I think CIG wants to make them devastating. And it's got, I don't know if it has armor right now, but it's definitely one of those ships when they start adding, it will definitely get a lot of armor to protection. So
so
at $175, really good price for everything you get. So
I think the only kind of negatives on it would be that it's obviously a little slower because it's bigger. And it's a bigger target because it is bigger, right? But again, we don't know the price of the Firebird yet, but I would argue it's going to be in a very similar ballpark to this.
Almost the same. It might be the exact same price, just because it's the Raven.
And so if you can only, if you're only buying one ship, so to speak, I'd be highly considering, if you're adding the Firebird to a vast fleet that you've already got, you do you, right? But if this is the only ship you own, or you're only going to own one ship and you're going to pick between this and the Firebird, this is the one I'd be considering over the Firebird, because you get
also the range.
We also get more missiles too, so you're not going back as frequently, and you can add other people to this ship that just only enhances its survivability. Because once multi-crew comes in, you're going to outdo a Firebird because you can get repairs while the Firebird's not going to be able to repair until the fight's over. So it'll have its day in the sun, as will a lot of these ships. Right? Oh, the Tana. God, I want this thing to be good, but it just.
This is where I defend the Tana. I will defend the honor of the Tana because the Tana is baby's first Vanguard. If you want a Vanguard, if you like Vanguards, but you don't have the $200 that a Vanguard costs, then you get yourself a Tana, because the Tana has beat sticks for days, and it has beds in the back. It has cargo, a tiny little bit of a cargo space in the back. It's got room for two, so when multi-crew comes in, it becomes a little bit more functional, especially for managing power, resources, and targeting. CIG is setting the Tana up to be your best starter multi-crew ship. It is, but right now that profile is awful. You are just going to get sniped instantly with those, because one wing goes off and you're done. You're dead. So
I think they just if you look at the core version of this, I know this is the Tana, but if you look at the core version, it needs more cargo for its size. You have to have something that offsets that huge silhouette profile to gain that benefit. And again, this is a combat ship that is literally, for the other ships in its class, 3 times the size. And unfortunately, because it's a giant vertical wing, there's no way to really hide that size. So it's either going to be faster, or do more somehow, or
or tougher.
More shields or something like that. They need some way. Actually, that's probably the easiest way. Give it more shielding,
armor.
So it's easier to hit, but takes more of a punch to knock it down. So I'd probably give it armor or shielding, like you said, armor. But I'd agree with you on that as well.
Double the shields, because if it has I think it has a size 1. If it has a size 1, then double it. If it has a size 2, then
why not?
Then double it.
Why not that? Because it's a military ship. Why don't you give it a second one? I could get behind that. And I do like how they went back and added cargo to it to trying to give it a bit more. And I think every ship in the game. It's 2 SCU, isn't it? I thought it was 2.
Is it 2?
Like your favorite ship, Paul, the Redeemer. It's got 2 SCU. Anyway, all right.
I will. But what I will say is, I will defend it. But for $75, it's a
terrible buy.
It's really it's bad for its price.
It's so bad. We want it to be good. That's where this is coming from. It
is the logical upgrade from an Aurora if you want to do multi-crew combat, but we want it to be the starter price, the starter combat profession. The multi-crew starter combat profession is what it should be, which is what it's designed to be, but it's not.
It's the little train that could, if you remember that storybook from our childhood. I think I can. That's what this is, and it could be great, but it just needs a few little changes. Right, Starfarer Gemini, last ship for today. The refueler, it's essentially up-armored, up-gunned, up-engined. One of the few ships in the game that has a multi-manufacturer label on it, and I want more of this. And I'll let you do your little lore spiel because I like that the one where MISC went to Aegis and yeah.
So MISC, the story behind this is a funny one because MISC went to what did they go to? They went to the UE military because they knew that the UE military needed a refueler because they didn't have one. And they said, hey, we have this refueler. It'll be perfect for you. We even up armored it, did a whole bunch of stuff for you. And the military just looked at them and went, who are you? Go away. Because they didn't have any connections to the UEE military, so they couldn't get a foot in to even talk with admirals or generals about their idea. So they got confused because MISC is very logical and like, but logically this should happen. Why are they not doing this? Because it's obvious they need this. So they went to Aegis and said, Aegis, we have this ship. Can you just talk with the military for us? Because you've got those connections. And they said, yeah, sure. So they went and talked to the military, gave the proper introduction so that MISC could talk with the military. And Aegis, because they were helping out, they gave them the Aegis logo. They basically slapped a bunch of Aegis logos on this thing because Aegis, I think, technically gave the idea for the missile launchers on the front, and I think the bigger guns on top and a little bit more armor. Like that was the extent of their changes to the Gemini. But MISC had already made most of those changes anyways. So it's this nice little like they worked together to solve the problem because Aegis had the connections, but were like kind of degraded in terms of their connections to the UEE. So they weren't as fun, but MISC was up and comer and needed their help. So it was a nice little co-op work. So
the ship itself though is really interesting because in game the military version is actually cheaper than the standard Starfarer, but when you buy this upgrade, you actually get all the essentially modular pieces, so you can go between a standard Gemini and a standard Starfarer. So you can put, as you said, you can put the missile pods on, or you can put the scoop on, or you can put the refineries on, or just So for $40, you are getting a ship that has extra armor. It allows you to essentially combine the two Starfarers together, so you can get an up-armored refinery version of the Starfarer. And again, this ship being one of the first they ever put out, it's not in the best state, but they've talked about it so many times, you can tell they're going to come back around and work on this thing quite extensively to fix it.
Yep.
But
the reason why they can't fix it right now is because of Squadron 42. Because it's a Squadron 42 ship,
and it's a large ship. It's the only large gas collector we have, so it kind of tells us that down the road that we're probably going to getting a few other gas collectors. So if this is out of your price range, you probably might be able to get a cheaper one down the road, or a more expensive one. We might even have a capital one. We'll see. Right. The other interesting thing about that ship is it's also the Warbond CCU for today. This is a very good one for people that build chains, because we often recommend you go from a Gemini to like an Endeavor or a Crucible, because there's a lot of ships at that $350 price point. I myself will be picking up 3 or 4 of these today myself, so it's a good one for me, but I'm sure there's a few others. So I'm recommending the Mole to a Gemini. That's what I'll be picking up. But yeah, again, if you've got chains, you'll know what this means. So yeah. Other than that, I didn't see any new paints. Paul, did you see any new paints at all?
Nope.
I will have a real quick look. Other than that, I'm pretty sure we are done, sir.
Yes.
I did not prepare. Okay, so there's a Hercules. No, wrong one. God damn.
Isn't that an old? That's kind of more an event skin, though, right?
Yeah. So there will be the event skins, but every year they tend to add one at least. So as you can see, we had these ones from yesterday, but now the Tumbril ones come in, the Tana ones come in, and the Hercules ones come in. So yeah. So yeah, if you like your blue and gold, that is that. Right, with that then, Paul, I think we are done for today. Short and sweet, really. It only took 40 minutes. Wow, yeah, short, my butt. Yeah. Right. All right, where can people find?
It's technically 4 manufacturers in one day, which is why it's harder. But yeah.
So where can people find you on the interwebs, Paul? What do you do?
If you want content like this where we discuss lore and news and discuss like the events in the community, youtube.com/theastropub live or twitch.tv/theastropub. I stream Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So like 5 days a week. I'll be streaming a little bit more as we go into the summer. And then if you want just lore content, it's youtube.com/theastrohistorian, where I cover the lore of Star Citizen. I've covered the lore of Starfield, Cyberpunk. I'll be doing some stuff on Titanfall, and so yeah, there's gonna be tons of different, but mostly Star Citizen. So
just be really careful. You'll never get him to shut up if you mention the word Redeemer. Just that's his favorite ship. Nope. You just. I hate
you. I hate you.
Hey, I could do the toasting again if you prefer me to do that.
You could. I know that's going to get the wrong answer everywhere, but you know.
All right.
And he's losing it.
My copper's coming back with a vengeance because I took too much talk in the last few days. Right, with that then, he's been the Astropub. I've been Execute. See you later, citizens.
Later.